All right, welcome. Today we are going on a deep dive, not just into a topic, but into the very architecture of reality itself. We're going to explore a pretty radical idea. What if numbers are way more than just tools we use for counting? What if they're the language, the actual language that shapes our entire universe?
So let's start with a really basic question. When you think of the number 3, what comes to mind? 3 apples, 3 miles. It's just a quantity, right? It seems so simple, but what if that's just scratching the surface?
Or what if there's something more going on? What if numbers are actually a code, a kind of symbolic language for vibrational frequencies, a hidden code that, if we could just crack it, might reveal the secret mechanics behind, well, everything, from physics and finance all the way to consciousness itself.
So to get to the bottom of this, here's our game plan for today. First up, we're going to look at numbers you can literally see. Then we'll dig into the surprisingly dark history of forbidden math. After that, we'll see how this secret knowledge got picked up by spies and Wall Street traders. And finally, we're going to turn the lens inward and look at the brain's own secret code.
All right, let's jump right in with something you can literally see with your own eyes. Let's look at the actual physics of how numbers create physical form. So to actually see numbers at work, we have to talk about this incredible field called cymatics. Basically, it's the science of making sound and vibration visible. And it gives us, well, some of the most jaw-dropping evidence that vibration, a force we measure with numbers, can literally create ordered, geometric patterns right out of chaos.
And how it works is it's shockingly simple, really. You take a metal plate, you sprinkle some particles like sand on it, and then you play a specific sound frequency through the plate. The sound waves create these little quiet spots where there's no vibration, and the sand just naturally gathers there, instantly revealing the hidden geometric shape of that specific sound. And here's the kicker. What we see is this direct one-to-one relationship. The number, the frequency, literally dictates the physical shape. You start with low frequencies, you get simple circles and lines. But as you crank that number up, as the frequency gets higher, the patterns get exponentially more complex and beautiful. This isn't just a cool idea, it's physics, a direct link between a number and a shape.
Now, it gets even weirder because some frequencies seem to be, well, special. Researchers have found that 10.8 hertz is a key resonant frequency of the Earth. And when they visualize that specific number using cymatics, it creates these patterns that look just like biological structures, stuff you see in nature, like three-sided symmetries. It's like a clue, right? Suggesting this deep, resonant link between the planet itself and the very building blocks of life. Okay, so if this link between numbers and physical form is so obvious, you gotta ask, right? Why isn't this taught in every science class? Why don't we all know this? Well, that brings us to the very strange and dark history of ideas in math that were so powerful they were actually considered forbidden.
Well, it turns out that throughout history, certain mathematical ideas were considered dangerous, like really dangerous. The ancient Pythagoreans, who believed the universe was made of perfect rational numbers, were so freaked out by the discovery of irrational numbers that, legend has it, they drowned the guy who found them just to keep it a secret. Fast forward a few centuries, and you have religious councils actively pushing out any traditions that use numbers to understand the divine. Even the number 0 was once banned in Florence because it represented the void, a concept that was seen as totally heretical.
So let's dig into that a little more. I mean, why would a number be considered heresy? It sounds crazy, right? But for the powers that be at the time, this was serious stuff. 0 suggested a godless emptiness, a void, in a universe that was supposed to be completely filled by an all-powerful God. Meanwhile, irrational numbers, numbers that go on forever without a pattern, they suggested that the universe wasn't perfect and orderly, but had chaos baked right into it. These weren't just math problems. They were ideas that could topple entire worldviews.
But here's the thing about powerful knowledge. It doesn't just vanish, it goes underground. And in this case, it was repurposed by some of the most powerful groups in history. Which takes us from ancient mysticism straight to the modern mainframe, as we uncover the secrets of spies and traitors. And look, before you think this is all just some wild conspiracy stuff, get this. The National Security Agency, the NSA, in their own internal documents, openly acknowledges that modern cryptography, the science of making and breaking codes, is a direct descendant of the mystical and occult practices of the Renaissance. The exact same methods people used to find hidden messages from God became the methods used to hide secrets of the state. And when you look at the family tree of these codes, the lineage it's shockingly direct. Ancient mystical practices of swapping letters around in sacred texts to find hidden meanings. That's the mathematical ancestor of the Visionaire cipher, a code that was called indecipherable for centuries. Queen Elizabeth's own court magician, John Dee, had his angelic language grids. Now, most people think those were actually sophisticated cryptographic tools he was using for espionage.
And it wasn't just spies using this hidden language of numbers. It found its way to Wall Street. The legendary, and I mean legendary, trader W.D. Gann made a fortune, and he flat out said his secret was understanding the law of vibration. He believed that every single stock had its own unique frequency, and if you knew that number, you could predict its moves with almost supernatural accuracy.
Okay, so this is all pretty mind-bending, but it brings up a huge question. Are these patterns really out there in the universe, or are our brains just wired to see them everywhere? For our last section, let's turn inward and explore the science behind our brain's own secret code.
Well, a really fascinating theory in neuroscience, neural resonance theory, proposes that our brains aren't just computers. Think of them more like resonant instruments. The theory says our neurons can literally sync up with rhythms from the outside world. It's a process called entrainment. It's kind of like when you pluck one guitar string and another one across the room starts to vibrate in sympathy. Our brains can do that.
So why do we get that feeling? That jolt of significance when you see a pattern? It's because our brains are basically prediction machines. They are constantly scanning for patterns to try and figure out what's going to happen next. And when an external rhythm, whether it's music or a sequence of numbers, locks in with our own internal rhythms, it clicks. It satisfies our brain's hunger for pattern and generates this really powerful feeling that what we're seeing is important.
But then you get these anomalies. Things that are really hard to just brush off as our brains playing tricks on us. A perfect example is the Mars effect. A statistician discovered that an unusually high number of world-class athletes were born just as the planet Mars was rising or culminating in the sky. Way, way higher than you'd expect by chance. For decades, people have tried to debunk it, but the statistical anomaly just hangs there. It refuses to go away.
And that really brings us right back to the heart of this whole mystery, doesn't it? We've seen how numbers can create physical shapes. We've learned how certain numbers were so powerful they had to be hidden. We've seen how spies and traitors use them. And we know our brains are designed to resonate with patterns. So what is it? Is this all just an elaborate illusion created by our pattern-seeking brains? Or are we actually tuning into a deeper, hidden structure of reality?
Which leaves us with one final and kind of profound question to chew on. In this huge cosmic symphony of vibration and number that seems to make up reality, what part do we play? Are we the instrument, just vibrating in response to the universe around us? Are we the musician, getting to choose the notes we play? Or maybe, just maybe, are we the song itself?